Do you think you're more likely to date outside of the Bachelor world now? And how many people that you meet know you through the Bachelor?
It's tough. It could be anyway. I don't really know who that person is. Trust me. I'm trying every outside of the Bachelor world.
So it's not Susie.
Inside.
That was the number one question people ask.
No, it's not Susie.
With these TikToks?
It's not Susie. She's literally our best friend. Like she is the guy version of me, and I could never date me for.
Our next guest on Driving with Dave is an All-American.
Yeah.
An All-American, D2 All-American, and also played for the Vienna Vikings. From Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise, Andrew Spencer. How are you?
I'm good, man. Appreciate the intro.
Yeah, thanks for...
I haven't heard All-American in a while.
You're my first All-American.
I appreciate that, man.
And I got to respect you for that. So what was that like, becoming an All-American?
Oh, man, that's just everything you've been working towards and everything you've been working for. I've been playing football since I was like 5. So to get that honor, it's, just knows that all your work is paid for. So
what are you better at, D-back or running back? Those are your two positions, right?
Yeah, I'm a way better defensive back. But I just was, I played a position where I even returned as well. So anytime I can get my hands on the ball, I do very well. So
good at defense. That's all you need to be in the Bachelor franchise.
Yeah.
Did you realize that getting into this, how defensive, immediately you get cast on a show and then people want to dig your past up and know who you dated?
Yeah.
I mean, were you surprised at all getting into this world?
Well, so I had a little coaching. My cousin Clay was on the show, so I kind of got to see a little bit of how he had to handle things. So just a little bit. I think I got a little bit more than what he had.
You got involved during Katie's season, which was the pandemic, which we're going to look back on as the craziest time because people went absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Pandemic, everyone's holed up, and then all of a sudden, people just have more time on their hands.
Yeah. No, it was in our season. I feel like now that I watch these new ones, I feel like they're all spoiled or people knows what's going on. I feel like no one had any idea what was going on with our season, and I was looking at. When I was going through the show, I was looking at our season. I was like, no one had an idea. People thought John won.
Yep.
So
and he did for a moment.
He actually did win. Foreshadowed a little bit, but
yeah. So did you know Katie was going to be the Bachelorette going into?
No. So we were already in the hotels.
Because
I have no idea.
Did you do the math? Usually it's the third person. Did you think?
I have no idea how they picked. I just know that we had to watch the tell-all. And that's when we found out.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, filming's tomorrow. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Now, you, correct me if I'm wrong, volunteered to leave Katie's season.
No.
Or no, she wanted you back.
Yeah.
She wanted you, and at that point you were like, you had already gotten over it, or what?
Well, no, it was just like, I know I'm not going to outbeat Blake or Greg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I may have gotten, Justin or Mike, but... I knew I wasn't going to beat those guys. I was like, well, this wouldn't make any sense. Bring me back just to get sent home next week. That's not what I'm here to break my heart double time.
That's what I always find crazy when some of these guys are they're on week 4, they're in charity season. They're on week 4 on a group date. They haven't gotten a one-on-one yet.
Yeah.
Do they know they don't have a shot? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just knew where I was at. And I was comfortable where I was at. But at the same time, I was like, all right, well, if you don't pick anyone here, I would be open to exploring something after.
Yeah. And how much of that becomes a reality as far as after the season, who's still single? You made Katie's best of 12 Days of Mess hit list.
Yeah, I did. That was cool.
Are you and Greg, what's the group chat like? Are you guys just like, this motherfucker?
No.
Or do you respect the gameplay?
We're literally to ourselves, man. We hear the noise, but we don't really we don't get bothered by it too much. We just try to live our life with a little positivity. I get what she does. I think it's funny. But for the most part, we don't really get too involved with all that kind of stuff.
Now, so after you go on the show, obviously it's dramatic. How soon after do you contemplate the idea of going on Paradise? Is it an immediate no, and then you're like, maybe, or were you just like, all right, they've seen me at my worst, they can't get in here? What's going through your head at that point?
Well, after the Bachelorette, I was like, I need to go back to playing football. I was like, I need to get my head back into, being me again, because you're in this little bubble, and you had to like restart almost of what reality is, because you didn't have your phone for so long. You weren't talking to your mom, like, so you lose a little bit of yourself, and then you have to regain. Like, it's like learning how to walk again or ride a bike. So I think
it's almost like people in cults. They have to reintegrate.
So we had to reintegrate. So I was like, the best thing for me is just to go back to what I know most, and that's playing football. So I went back to Vienna and finished my season out.
And how did that go?
It went
You guys won, right?
No, we lost that year.
You lost that year?
Yeah, so it's
I tried to make it to a game, but Vienna wasn't really.
Honestly, it's a really cool environment.
I love Austria,
and it's even getting bigger now. Like, now they pack the stands with at least like a couple thousand, like to 10,000 now. So it's pretty fun.
Was it your dream to make it into the NFL? Because Clay played, right?
Clay played. I got to the NFL. I just didn't last very long. I was with the Browns for a short stint, and it was cool. It was probably the greatest thing in my life that I've ever done, and just being able to walk the halls, go to film sessions, practice. My locker mate was Nick Chubb, and he's doing really great right now. So it's like, it's really cool to just been like a little bit of a part for it.
I get chills, to be honest, thinking about that, because I remember when I made the college baseball team, and I called my mom crying.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, I was like tough, and then the second she answered the phone, I was like, I made it, Mom.
No,
like, what's going on with you?
It's something you work towards your whole life, and people don't understand.
I don't think people realize that, especially in Bachelor Nation, because they go, some practice squad player. It's like, that's a professional like, goal that you've received to cash a paycheck that you made it onto a team.
Exactly. And I'm just so grateful to even have the opportunity. Sometimes you just pray to
especially coming from D2.
Yeah, and it's not easy to do that.
So were you like the star standout on your team in D2?
Yeah, I was a defensive player of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, my team was really good. It just went really. I was just having a really good year.
So all those footwork drills led to you being a TikTok dance machine.
Oh well, I've always could dance. That's the one thing. I could dance before I could play football. That's for sure.
Yeah, well,
that's a family thing. That's a family thing. Oh yeah, when we grew up, my dad was huge into Michael Jackson, so. Me and my brother, we had the gloves, and we were out there dancing for all his little videos.
And this is in Illinois?
Yeah, this was in Illinois.
What was the diversity like in Illinois, like where you were?
Well, growing up, I grew up in a really rough area. Before, like, my dad had went to jail and everything. So, like, after he did that, we moved to a really predominantly white neighborhood after that. So, and that's when things just kind of shift a little bit for myself and just what I wanted for goals going forward in life.
Shift how? Like you were able to see?
Yeah. I think growing up in some areas, the only way you make it out is if you're a rapper, celebrity, or a football player. And I always wanted to be a football player. That was one thing. But I think learning, just what it means to be a good human and have manners and all those things, I think is what I learned when I moved to a different area. And I think I had a father figures from coaches and different people that I've met there. So
yeah, I didn't grow up with a dad. So I grew up. So at what age was your dad? Did he go to prison?
5. So like literally, right when I started football, he's never seen me play football. So I think he saw my brother play one year, and then the next year it was about to be my first year. I was so excited, and then he got locked up. So yeah. My
mom used to make us on like Father's Day. She would make us write a Father's Day card for our uncles. And in hindsight, I'm like, what guilt does that put on my uncle? That it's like, oh, you're gonna make me hug.
No. I remember my mom used to always put it on my uncle. Like, he doesn't help us. I'm like, well, it's really technically not his job. But
I know. Uncles are tough, man. It's like I show up, my family's on the East Coast, so I'll show up guns a-blazing with water balloon launchers and things that are just going to cause damage. Yeah. And then I just like leave the next day.
All right, see ya. Yeah.
But yeah, I know the feeling of sort of, I guess, wanting, your coach, like I don't know about you, but like you'd see a lot of the coaches were another player's dad.
Yeah.
And you just see that and you're like.
That was me. I was that kid. I couldn't even afford to even be on the teams, but I was so good. I was a child prodigy, I will say.
Yeah.
I peaked early. But no, I was so good that they were just like, oh, we'll bypass the payments. And that was the only way that I was able to play on travel teams and do all these things. And I would literally at this carpool, because my mom would be working literally all day. So I would stay at these people's houses all week, basically. And then my mom, I feel bad. My mom would be like, it feels like you're not my son. You're always gone. I'm like, well, I gotta.
They bought me. They're paying for this.
They're paying for it. They're helping me. They're helping me here. So.
Was it a predominantly white team?
Oh yeah, I was the only black kid for a while. Actually, for like a year, and then I met my best friend who was black. Well, he's mixed. He plays for the Bears right now. I was the best man in his wedding. So it was just us. Wow. It was just us. It was really fun, though.
Did you and him form like a different bond because you were kind of like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then I leaned on his dad a lot because he was the only black father figure and really can just teach me certain things that other white fathers can't. You know what I mean? So it was really cool. I had that from him, and that's who I would stay at their place. I would be there forever. Even when I went to college, when I came back home, I didn't go to my mom's. I went to their house. I would stay with them. So I'm like another son to them, so it's really cool. They really took me in.
So when it came to sports, did you find like you got a lot of your worth through, through that success? Was that like, or are you like like affirmations kind of like love language guy, or?
No. I'm a physical touch guy, but at the same time, like, I think I learned to be humble. That was probably the biggest thing I've learned when it comes to being in sports, is like, just because you're so good at this or that, doesn't give you an excuse to be a bad human. And I think I was always checked.
How did you learn that? How were you checked?
Because I don't know, I was just so good that I could have easily went down this road, but my coaches and the people around me would never let me do that.
Yeah, that's what happened to a buddy of mine who was the best high school baseball player anyone had ever seen.
Right.
And then he didn't almost up his game to the next level. He kind of like relied on how good he was against that talent.
Yeah.
But then now all of a sudden, at what point? I mean, because you can literally get the snot knocked out of you in football. Where were you when you kind of got to like the big boy level? Was it the pro level or college where you're starting? Everyone's a little faster, a little stronger.
It was high school. I was 5'1" going into high school, so I was crushing it in all little league, and then everyone grew. And then freshman year, I almost quit football, and then I did well my freshman year, but I wasn't. I thought I should have been moved up. I was very confident. I'm a very confident kid, and I was like, they're not doing right by me. I should be moved up. I was doing this growing up, and I was always the best. Like I had nothing's changed. So then I had a growth spurt, and I kept working, but I still just was learning to be, learning to be humble and all these other things, and
that's
being
kind of
taught.
like that ugly duckling thing where if you get into sports and build that competitive drive before you're like physically fully there, almost like the Tom Brady he wasn't he was like an underperformer athletically, but he was gifted as like a guy who was never going to quit.
That's what it was with me, and I get that from my mom because she's had it the hardest. She just doesn't quit. So I think I just stuck with it, and I knew how good I could be. And I knew it would happen. I knew I was naturally gifted at the sport.
So you talk a lot about your mom, and I have a very, if I'm going through a heartbreak or something, I call my mom. I can talk to her about things that I might not have talked to her about back in the day, but I've kind of grown to enjoy her sort of wisdom because she's, she was a single mom who had to work through it all and all that. So you get off the Bachelorette, you get your phone back. What's that conversation like with your mom?
Well, crazy thing is, my mom was in New Mexico. So I had a hometown. Not a lot of people know that. So I had a little hometown. I think it was just in case if I said yes of staying, they would have aired it.
Wow.
But
did you know they weren't going to air it?
No, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know.
So they didn't air your hometown?
No, but it wasn't like a hometown. It was like I just got sent home. We still want you to film with your family. So I'm like filming because they had to be there for 10 days because of
pandemic.
COVID. Pandemic. So I'm filming a hometown, and I'm having a good time. I'm not having a good time, but I'm explaining to them about what just happened. This is right after, so I'm still hurt. And my mom's like, I've never seen my baby like this. She's got my jersey on. which is hilarious. She's wearing my jersey at the hometown thing. I'm like super momish. My sister's there. So yeah, just two really important women in my life were there.
So at that point, you had not left, or you were not gone from the show.
No.
So then you had to
rumor has it, and this is a good rumor. This is a crazy rumor. So I heard that I was kind of being coached into staying because Michael A had already left. So to complete the numbers, it'd be better if I would have stayed. That would have been 4 instead of just 3 people going in the hometowns.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then from there, you're on, I mean, I think it's well known, you're like pipelined to be the possible Bachelor. Could you even grapple with that idea? I mean, that's a big...
The Bachelor?
Yeah.
I don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. I think it's just a really cool opportunity to be able to showcase yourself and find, love at the same time. But I think people make it out to be way bigger than it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's literally a dating show.
It's a good paycheck, though.
Yeah, it is. But it's a dating show, man. It's, you're following someone to fall in love with someone else. And I am a hopeless romantic in that. And I love romance. I love to be able to be a story for someone to watch. But people are treating it like I'm about to be the next president.
Yeah.
When did the criteria go so high up to be the Bachelor?
The expectations.
Literally.
I asked Susie what I could ask you, and she said you're a big rom-com guy.
Yeah.
I am too. If there's a Matthew McConaughey movie, I'm watching it. I love how
I'm more of a Gosling guy, though.
You're a Gosling? Okay, well,
Gosling or Reynolds. I like a little bit more comedy or
Ryan Reynolds.
Sandler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
Those are the guys
good.
I go with. Yeah.
So it's I guess I should ask, when did you kind of put it all together as far as like, all right, I like rom-coms, I'm like when did you kind of develop your archetype that is what you want to be?
young. We had one TV household, so mom's controlled the TV when she was here, and we watched You've Got Mail a million times.
There you
go. Sleepless in Seattle, so that's what I grew up on, and I was a mama's boy. I was the youngest of 4. So I was always.
So you were the controller?
Yeah. I was like, all right, whatever you're doing, Mom, I'm chilling here. So that's kind of how it was. And then you kind of, realize once you're growing up that your life is kind of turning into a rom-com when you find your first love and whatnot and going through all that.
Yeah, the difference in a rom-com and something like really heavy is just a good playlist,
Yeah.
It's like everyone's got a tan and it's a good playlist, but it can get heavy out there,
which
transitions into paradise.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you this because I can take any time I meet somebody and be such an optimist and make them out to be, now I'm married now, but all my past relationships were me falling for who I wanted somebody to be.
Yes, 1,000%.
Is that what's going on with you?
You hit it right on the head. That is it. I think.
Not only that, so we're talking about Teddy here. So
yeah, I picked up on that. No, that's 1,000% what it was. You in like me, I'm so gung ho and getting married and building this perfect family that I never had. So like I think with Teddy, I think she was literally, I was more of a checkbox thing, and I'm not a big checkbox guy. She hit everything that I thought I was looking for. Going into this perfect family I want to build. And I realize that's not like true, but I'm still striving to have that family that, like.
Well, perfect is definitely.
And perfect is it's like not a great word to use, but like.
Right, but all your no, I totally understand what you mean. Like my wife.
Perfect for me.
She'll be the first one to tell you, she's got her issues, I've got mine. We unearth them all the time. We've always find new ones. Like, oh, I didn't know that was gonna start a fight. I would have avoided that conversation.
But that's the thing with me though. Like I'm very emotionally intelligent, where I can feel something's wrong. Like the whole time I knew something was off. But I'm not one to quit at the same time. So it's like if there's problems, there's gonna be problems that arrive in your relationship. And those are things that I look forward to being able to work out with the person that I know like is for me, because that's what happens in life. Not everything's gonna go perfect.
I mean, I had this girl I met. Her dad was like a golf pro. So I'm like, oh great, I'm a golfer now. We're gonna be like, I just immediately
you change your
I'm like putting polo shirts on now, and like if you can see the wedding photo, you go, all right, then everything else will fall into place, and that is the rom-com energy, but
Yeah,
I
it
don't
is.
think that's a bad thing to feel that way.
No.
You just need to keep sort of falling into the laps of what you would hope would be the right person, and eventually there'll be someone who will be so grateful.
And now that I've developed, you always know the character arc in the movie where they start falling for the person that was always there, or like just like
which is
where you
Susie.
weren't. No, when it comes naturally. And I think one thing that I took from that is patience. So it's like I'm so much more patient than I was going into, Bachelor in Paradise. I was just so eager. And I was like, oh, this is it. It's happening. This is how it's going to happen. Instead of letting it flow and it be its own thing. And then
right? Because time's a motherfucker. Time will ruin your chances. If you're out at a bar trying to meet someone right away, you gotta, maybe you will, but I feel like the irony is that the faster you try to pull somebody, the quicker they're going to run away. You have to kind of like 1 foot out the door. Yeah. Because, it becomes almost... I feel like women are used to being hit on in a way that comes off as super aggressive because there's always different men. My wife the other night was just parking the car, getting catcalled. She had to run back to her car. It's a wicked place out there for women. It is. And yet at the same time, Paradise and Bachelor creates a false time crunch that wouldn't normally exist because it's, all right, well, I got to get a rose this week. I got to do this. I got to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that can work against relationships in a lot of ways.
Yes, but also I like it a little bit because I think there is no timeline on love sometimes. Like sometimes you'll know and that's just it. And it'll click. For some people that works. And I would love for that to happen to me. I think that would just be beautiful. But I know it's not realistic, but I know it's not unrealistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like,
absolutely.
It can happen. So that's why I don't mind it with The Bachelor. And then I think the one thing I do hate is when people are mad at the fact that some people are taking a little bit slower time.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's okay to go either way. Like, there's no one way when it comes to it. I think just being able to meet someone in that light and getting that time with each other on Paradise, like the amount of time you get with a significant other, you're never going to get in real life because people go to work and different schedules. So it's like
you create a fire and then you need to learn how to carry that fire back to your normal life.
Exactly.
And so just to wrap up the Teddy talk, at what point did you? So she realized first that this wasn't it, but did you feel there's a song by Zach Brown called "I Saw Goodbye in Her Eyes"? Yeah, and I love that because it's just that intuition, like.
No, yeah, that's exactly. I knew the whole time, but I knew there was something. We had great moments. Mm-hmm. There were great moments, and sometimes you overlook those great moments because you want to have this huge firework. And I was like, we have great moments, and like. If I just focus on those, I think we can get to our firework. Because at the time I was like, I feel like she's just not feeling where we need to be, and I'm like, I don't want to force it. That's the one thing I don't want to do is force it. Yeah. So I just kind of let her come into it as natural as possible, and it just never did, never clicked.
But I've seen that where it's like you've got proof of concept. Mm-hmm. I had that with an ex where it was like. I felt like the romantic side of things was really good, but this person she couldn't get around to like seeing a long-term thing with me. Right. And in hindsight, she was right. I was some broke ass actor in New York. You know what I mean? Like she was trying to have kids, and she was like ready for that next step. Right. And I needed 7 or 8 more years to kick the can down the road. No, that's just what I needed. Yeah. But I still was so wrapped around the part of like, but we like each other, and she's like, that ain't it. That ain't enough.
No, and. Hey, I mean, I think she knew exactly what she was looking for, and obviously now she's engaged. So I'm super happy for her, and she did exactly what she needed to do for her.
Do you think you're more likely to date outside of the Bachelor world now? And how many people that you meet know you through the Bachelor? And do you have to work past that?
It's tough. It could be anyway. I don't really know who that person is. Trust me. I'm trying every outside of the Bachelor world. So
it's not Susie.
Inside.
That was the number one question people have.
No, it's not Susie.
With these TikToks?
It's not Susie. She's literally our best friend. Like she is the guy version of me, and I could never date me for. So no, she's amazing, but at the same time, like we just don't have that. I don't know. It could never work.
Are you on any dating apps?
Yeah, but I don't really use them.
Do you worry like someone's gonna Like, because, okay, you're a
Yeah, well, I'm on Raya, so you're not allowed to.
Okay, good.
So that's the only reason why I use that one.
Yeah, because you immediately see, people will post on Reddit, so-and-so's on Hinge, and it's like, yeah, no shit they are. They're just a human being.
That's the hardest part, going to a bar as well. I live in Chicago, so not everything, there's like no really big scene to be in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I go to local bars, and they're like, what are you doing here? Like, you're only here looking for clout. And I'm like, guys, I just want a drink. Like, my friends are in town, like, I just want to get a drink. So it's like, sometimes you're too cool to go to events, and then like, oh, you think you're so cool because when you do go to good events, like people think you're like, oh, you're too cool to be. I'm like, no, I'm not saying either one of those. So we can't really win at all. We don't have a place to belong. We're just like stuck in the middle a little bit because we know we're not like C-listers and up. We're like D right here, but we're also like not cool enough to even hang out with the locals.
I did brunch with a few alumni when I was in New York. Someone organized a brunch, and then there's people commenting thinking I'm a clout chaser, and I'm like, I'm trying to buy a house and get a baby with my wife. Like, if that's a clout chaser, sure, but I'm just trying to run my business and interview cool people.
And it's the worst feeling when we all get together and we have a good time and we're smiling. That's the one thing that people hate the most is when we're laughing. What are you so happy about? Where's your 9 to 5? I'm like, guys, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm a happy guy. I've learned that through just enjoying life and being the most human I could possibly be.
How does it feel making friends with a guy like Greg Grippo and then seeing him get raked through the coals on Katie's season when he's probably trying the best he can? Like, how does that feel as seeing one of your friends get mischaracterized through the show?
Oh, I hate it. But that's also why, I feel like that's my job with my friends is to try to create as much fun or create as much of a positive atmosphere around them so that they don't look at it or they don't feel that way. And then obviously I had a lot of good positivity around me coming off the show. So I made sure to show as much of them, even more than myself sometimes. I'll promote them and it'll be a video of just them and I won't be in it. And I'm just like, that's because people needed to see who these people actually are. And it's so quick, you could so quick to judge someone without knowing them. And I think that's the biggest thing about The Bachelor is a lot of people don't know these people. The Bachelor Nation is they don't know these people.
A lot of judgment.
It's a lot of judgment.
I've interviewed more villains than not so far.
Right.
A lot of people didn't like Katie. She came to my wedding. And obviously how she interacted with Greg, they had a close bond that there's a lot of defensiveness and anger and edits and things like that, and you can't, it's kind of like,
imagine if all your fights were on TV.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Horrible.
Let's be real. So that's kind of how I look at it, is no one wants their dirty laundry aired out. That's just kind of how it happens when you're actually in something. Those are two people in it. Do
you think that, now I was the youngest of two until my mom remarried and had more kids, but I think I was already sort of defined by who I was by because they were 11 and 18 years younger than me. And then, but I also feel like I'm always stuck in the middle of family fights where I'm the one trying to therapy everybody and get everyone back together.
Yes, that's me.
So you're that way with your friends and family?
Everyone. I am that way with everyone. I feel like, sometimes you just have a calling. I think that is my calling, is to not just be a mediator, but is to just bring joy and happiness to things, no matter the situation. Because that's kind of growing up, like I said, suffering is understanding suffering and understanding everyone has a little bit of suffer. I found a beauty in it, and that's being able to smile through it all. And I think not everyone has understood or found that, so I try to help bring that to them. That's kind of
football. I played high school football, so not to brag here, but it builds camaraderie because you're going through August double sessions. Everyone's just getting a heat stroke and just exhausted, and you just hate the tackle drills, which they don't even do anymore because they were so like
they were bad.
you.
Yeah.
You know, I always said the practices were always worse than the games because you're just doing the drills over and over. But it really does help you, or can help you, build adversity through tough times. Like, do you feel like you respond, like you were better equipped to respond to some of the adversity? You know, because,
yes,
you know, you might not have been like a capital V villain, but people still have their strong opinions about you.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's life, and especially in sports. The biggest thing they do is they go on television, they talk about athletes all the time. And I've always had to grow up with it as an athlete because you're going to have people, naysayers saying he's not this or he's not that. And you've always had to listen. You had to had the thick skin enough to, like basketball, when you're playing it, you're at the free throw line, people are heckling you the whole time.
Yeah.
So your whole life, you're just going through hearing bad things about you. So you just have a thick skin and just know who you are. I just know who I am, and I know that a lot of the things that people spew isn't true because I know who I am.
I tell you what, I had thick skin with stand-up and I do stand-up comedy and acting and stuff like that. But when I felt like I was mischaracterized by the Bachelor audience, someone who wasn't even on the show, I mean, I had people coming at me left and right for someone I followed on Instagram.
That's hilarious,
and I was like,
man.
Who the fuck do you guys think I am? Like, my community has done more charity work. And I'm so lucky that I've got such great audience that when I say, let's support this person or this cause or whatever, they rally together.
Yeah.
And yet they wanted to find the worst aspect of me and tear me down. And I'm like,
well, that's what they do. And that's what you can't, no one, even if you're great, they try to find one thing. We just ran into someone whose brother is on Love on the Spectrum, and they're finding they're getting hate on their page.
From Love on the Spectrum.
From Love on the Spectrum. So I was like, that's just how it is. This world is, there's going to be some people who are just nasty. You can't let it discourage you, though.
It was a good lesson for me because I was like, why am I even, I just made a video reacting to it all.
Right.
Read everyone's comments. And I was like, what am I, first of all, doing? Is this helpful? Like, that I'm feeding into this? Like, will this always exist?
Yeah.
And can you fight it? And you see other people you can't fight it.
Can't.
It doesn't change because it's a percentage of people that are so sort of stuck on their opinion that you just have to learn to be above it, which it's
and
hard.
It's not even their real opinion. I think they just want to go against the grain sometimes. So if you're doing something really great, they're going to find something that you do horribly at, and they're going to attack you for it because they want to be opposite of something.
Yeah. So you go on, and we'll wrap up in a few minutes here. I'll pull back into our neighborhood. But so you go on Bachelorette during the pandemic.
Right.
And I always say, for me, the pandemic was a lifesaver because I was like dead-end jobs, and it was just I just needed a break. It was a mess.
Right.
And I think a lot of my friends...
I love the pandemic.
No,
I don't want to say it that way, but it worked for me.
Dude, you're allowed to, like, it was horrible, and people can respond and say, oh, my uncle died during it's like, that's... You can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right.
It can be a horrible tragedy, and you can still find like the like little daisy that sprouts from the disaster.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I put it. For me, it was that I was able to like regroup and refocus on who I am and sort of get out of the deep end. But aside from the Bachelorette, why did you get so much sort of I don't want to say joy, but what did it mean to you?
The pandemic, or I just think. Like I said, it always brings back to being the most human possible. Like everyone's in the same situation. I think when you look at it that way, it makes life so much easier for yourself because you think like only bad things are happening to you or this is happening to you. When you really look at it, that's what's going on with everyone.
We're all in the dogfight.
We're all in the dogfight. And the best way to do that is just to be able to live life every day and cherish the moments that you have and understand that it's a gift to be here.
So how do you go, I want to know this. How do you go from being on The Bachelorette, obviously pro sports don't last forever.
Right.
These things are all kind of fleeting. And also The Bachelor kind of no longer or it doesn't really have that catapult it might have had a few years ago for people's careers.
Right.
Like, what are your plans for like the next stages of your life? I hate to sound like a mom here.
Oh, no, you're good.
But like I only ask because everyone's kind of got a different thing they're trying to take root.
So I think I was one of the last people who caught the catapult a little bit. So I do very well when it comes to social media.
Good.
And now I'm just dipping my feet into hosting. We hosted the Jonas Brothers concert. I got on ESPN. We did like a college pick'em. So we're just working on little things where I can stay in entertainment, as well as, dabbling in acting. I have like a little voiceover thing, rom-com coming out.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, no, I just been, just dabbling in that. I know I know I'm good in this field when it comes to just being personable and creating smiles and creating, and I'm very creative in general, like with my TikToks and.
Dude, I said this to Susie about what you guys are doing. It's really hard to make content. Not everyone can do it. We see people come out of Paradise that they sort of struggle and they're like, oh, this just isn't for me.
Right.
But you guys have a nice little squad right there.
Yeah, and I've been doing this since I was 6, 7, 8. Like I was always the guy who put together a little movie project or iMovie. You remember that?
Yep.
I had projects on that. We would make like fake MTV cribs. Like that's just always something I've always been doing. I've always had a group of friends. We didn't go out and drink in high school. I never drank. Didn't go to parties. We would literally create funny videos and crack jokes and roast each other. So that's why I'm just a little bit different than everyone when it comes to I've always been doing this and nothing has changed. My life has not changed.
Yeah.
Since after the Bachelorette.
Well, that's what's beautiful with social media is that even, and like you said, yeah, you've got a massive following for sure.
Yeah.
I see people, everything's fleeting. I interviewed Courtney Robertson, who was the villain 10 plus years ago. She only has 60,000 Instagram followers. If she existed 4 years ago, she'd have 1.7 million.
Right.
It's just kind of like a weird thing, but obviously it's not like the followers aren't there. They're just on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're kind of all over. But when you can make something creative and people find it, the audience becomes global. So like me with these stupid videos, we might only be hitting a small niche, but we're telling stories that share other people's creative pursuits.
Right, exactly.
Because there is this weird shame. I think people are getting over that's content creating's bad. Oh, you're an influencer?
Yeah.
And I'm like, people don't understand how much work goes into this.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
You're replacing 7 people's jobs.
Yeah.
When my podcast is just me, but I know people that have the old school way of podcasting, or maybe not old school, but the corporate way has 13 people working on that. And when you can build that audience and have full creative control, that's when I think you can take things to the next level, because you, Justin, Susie, your group of people all bring your own gifts into the conversation.
Absolutely.
And kind of complement each other that way.
And that's the one thing, it's also about finding the right people to be around as well. And I think I have a really good sense of people that I put myself around. Especially, I could have went down a terrible way. I like to compare my brother. He's doing well now, but he went the opposite way after the things with my father happened, and he went to he hanging out with gangs and all that stuff, and I went the opposite way, and I started hanging out with friends who were more involved in sports, who were getting good grades and all that stuff. So I always felt like the people I've been put in my life have done very well, and like Greg and Susie and Justin, those are just great human beings that will also have great personalities that I couldn't even be. I'm just so blessed to be around them. Was
it tough to lose Greg as a single guy friend?
No, Greg, we hang out a lot. We just don't post about it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
he was supposed to be your date?
He was. He got a deal in New York with Sunglass Hut that he couldn't turn down. So
I saw that. Yeah.
There's some things you just can't turn down.
Yeah, you got to take the money.
You got to take the money, and I was like, bro, I understand. Barbie was just free, so it was really the coolest thing.
Susie will do. She can put a dress on.
Yeah, one of the coolest things I've ever done. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a paid thing. Outfits, everything we all paid for, and flights I had to come out here. So yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to harp on that part where you and your brother. Do you have any sisters, or is it just brothers?
Yeah, my sister's the oldest. She was already.
So 1 sister and 3 brothers.
Yeah,
and 3
brothers. Yeah.
So you really get that the same sort of environment, but you decide to get into sports and versus gangs. You're literally one choice away, and that's why I always have so much grace for people that kind of maybe made the wrong choice, or maybe it was the right choice for their soul to go through whatever journey they're going through. But where do you stand now with the rest of your family, your dad?
Dad, I think it's out next year.
Really?
So it'll just be crazy. I haven't, really seen him. So
Are you gonna be like, listen, I've been on TV now?
well, no, he's been following. He's seen a couple things, and then obviously I was doing really well in football, so he knew about that as well. Yeah, I mean, we have to reestablish a relationship. I just never was one to really be super sad about it.
Yeah.
My brother took it harder than I did.
Was it because you were too young, do you think?
I think so. A little bit of that, but also a little bit of, I just was so focused to not have us live like what we were living like. And it was hard when I didn't get drafted in the NFL because I thought it was happening. But because I always wanted to get my mom out, and so right now, everything I'm doing here, I do very well, but I also am taking care of my mom.
Yeah.
So my mom's on my phone bill. I had to throw half for the house that we just bought. So
were you by the phone waiting to get drafted? Did you?
Yes.
You had a sports agent?
Oh my God, dude.
Jerry Maguire, another rom-com.
Dude, yeah, great, great.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I'm sitting there, and honestly, that was the hardest day of my life. I think. Because I had my mom come up to college. It was just her. I was like, I just want you around, just for this moment. Just as all your sacrifice is all gonna come, full circle right now. And it didn't happen. And I got I actually had to get myself into a camp. People don't know that. I was talking to the Browns, Cardinals, and the Eagles.
So how it works is you don't get drafted. They only have X amount of drafts. It goes on for hours and days, and then you just wait.
Well, I knew I was the last day. I knew I was going to be 6th, 7th. So there want to be those 2 rounds. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll be a late round draft pick. Doesn't get me.
What is anxiety? I mean, are you just looking at the phone?
Dude, the whole time, scrolling up, talking to my agent.
It's like waiting for a girl to call you back.
Arizona call or text me. He's like, hey, stay by the phone on draft. I'm like, oh, dude,
I'm anxiety thinking about
is this your number for drafting? I'm like, yes, it is. And I'm just refreshing.
Someone else calls you and you're like, get the fuck off the phone.
Doesn't happen. My teammate actually gets, I'm the best guy on the team.
Yeah.
Not even close. He gets a call and gets a camp invite. And I'm like, how do I not get a camp invite right now? So I was like, Mom, you can go home. I don't think they're going to call me anymore. And I lay face down in my bed and I am streaming with tears. I'm crying. And then she leaves and she tells me, or I can't, I'm not going to go out like this. So I text the scout the player personnel of the Browns. I was like, hey, I know I'm better than a lot of these guys. Give me a shot. I'll prove it to you. And he's like, fine. He's like, bet. Here you are. Here's your ticket. You're coming with us. So you're coming to camp with us. I was like, perfect. My mom calls me later that day. She's like, I just had to call you and say I'm sorry about what's going on. I had to pull over and parked, and I said I prayed for hours. I'm like, Mom, I'm in a camp. So it was
getting goosebumps.
It was she, man. I think our bond is so cool. And
would you have been the type to make that call? Did you feel was that one of those I have nothing else to lose? Just the belief? Did you learn the belief in yourself in that moment?
Well, I know how good I was, man, and that wasn't. It was just I've worked so hard to be in this position. I know when I was supposed to go Division I, I couldn't because I was being a class clown and didn't do grades very well, but I got a chance. I knew I got my foot in the door. That's all I needed. I was like, once I get here, it's gonna be hard to get me out of here. So I was just I just needed to get here because that's what I've been working for my whole life. I was 5 years old drawing myself in the NFL. Kindergarten teachers asking me, what do you want to do when you grow up? Football player. There's videos of me, VHS, football player. So
that's one of those things you can give someone $1 million, but that's worth more. Because you can take someone's $1 million away, but you can't take away their work ethic, their drive, their confidence. Absolutely.
And that's how I live life. It's those are the things that I didn't care about the dollar signs I was going to make. I had to get there because that's all I worked for. That was my dream, man. And now you switch over and you have a different dream and you see things differently. Now my biggest goal is to be a great husband and great father and a great man. So that's my new goal.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working towards now.
Sweet, man. Well, dude, thanks so much for talking to me.
Appreciate
today,
it, man.
You
Thanks.
nailed it. I really appreciate the conversation.
I appreciate the ride, dude.
Yeah.